Hey Ranger Nation, welcome back to another video, and this is the new segment of what I like to call Manga Mondays, where I'm going to be reading manga or light novels and stuff like that. And today is part 2 of I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. Now I know this anime is out at the moment. I wanted to take my time to reading the light novel, which I have in front of me. So yeah, let's just jump straight into it. If you like this sort of content and you want to see more, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as that cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop. Hopefully these get a lot better, but yeah, let's jump straight into it. You heard that right. I made a living by killing slimes for 300 years. When it came to defeating the little blobs, I had a fair bit of confidence. I knew exactly where to stab them with my knife to finish them off in the first attack. Frankly, I could kill them unarmed with my bare hands or my feet. I could kill them with my forehead flick. I figured my level had probably grown a bit. Well, one day I knocked on the door of the guild, and as I did, I needed to exchange my magic stones. I took my spoils to the female staff member who was a descendant of Natalie's, several generations removed. She started working here only recently, and I didn't know her name yet. Good afternoon. Oh, Great Witch of the Highlands. By now, everybody knew me as the Witch of the Highlands. Having been alive for 3 centuries, I was most knowledgeable about the village's history. Here are today's magic stones, 26 slimes worth. Yes, indeed they are. That's 5,200 gold then. I put my money in my leather bag. Oh, that's right. Great Witch of the Highlands. There's something I've been wondering about. What's up? How strong are you exactly? Strong? In combat, you mean? I don't know. Or, well, I doubt it's anything impressive. I registered as an adventurer so I could get money for magic stones, but never actually adventured. After all, adventuring meant risking your life. A leisurely, peaceful life suited me better. The employee brought out an old slate. Would it be alright if I checked your status? My status? You know, I don't think I've seen it in all past 300 years. I hadn't needed to. In this area, monster just meant slime. I never actually sensed that I was leveling up either. That said, claiming that I'd only ever fought slimes would be a lie. In the forest, there were horned rabbits, big caterpillars too. Those monsters were still weak though, and my knife brought me easy victories. That knife might have been especially made. I'd been using it for 3 centuries at this point, and there were still no nicks to the blade. If you actually gave it some thought, that was astonishing. This thing could be worth a fortune. Not that I'd sell an item like that had taken such good care for me over 30 decades. You've watched over Flateria for so long, Great Witch of the Highlands. I believe your status probably astronomical as a result. I want to know what it is though, so... The young staff member's eyes were brimming with frequent exploration. It's embarrassing to say this myself, but the people of Flatia respected me. True, I gave them a hand whenever the village was in trouble. Over the centuries, several plagues had swept through, and every time I'd whipped up herbal cutleries in bulk and created strengthening tools and worked hard to ensure that there were no deaths. In addition, I'd watched over the village from the highlands since before its current inhabitants were born. They seemed to view me as some sort of guardian deity. As far as I was concerned, I was simply enjoying life of R&R, which made the reverence feel excessive and uncomfortable. I don't mind you check my status, but I'm just a long-lived witch who knows a thing or two about herbalism. I hope you're not expecting it to look like some legendary adventurers. Oh, you're too modest. It may not seem impressive to you, but you're judging by your own standards, aren't you? Well, go ahead and look. It's going to be normal. I put my hand on the slate. If this had been Japan, the environment would probably have changed dramatically over 300 years, but changes in this world were small. The slate was still functional and in use. Well, it's the ability to display statuses felt high-tech to me, but anyway. Asuna, Class Witch, Level 99, HP 533, MP 867, Attack 468, Agility 841, Defense 580, Intelligence 953. Magic, Teleportation, Levitation, Flame, Whirlwind, Item Appraisal, Earthquake, Ice and Snow, Lightning Attack, mind control, break spell, detoxify, reflect spell, mana absorption, language comprehension, transformation, spell creation, special abilities, etc., knowledge of medical herbs, immortality due to powers as a witch, EXP equation boost, experience points, 10,840,086. Uh-huh. Now that's a strange number. I bet the slate's broken. I mean, it's saying level 99, so... Ah! Great Witch, you're way too strong! The receptionist was shocked. I thought she might have collapsed. That's insane! You have to be the strongest in the world. I'm telling you, the rock's broken. All I fought are slimes, you know? How can I actually have almost 11 million experience points? Let's see, you killed slimes for 300 years, 365 days a year without skipping a day, correct? Of course. I don't know what happened long ago, so I'm extrapolating from what I've heard from the village elders, but incidentally, this world has proper sun and moon and uses solar calendar. That sounds about right. I think it's been about 25 slimes or so per day on average. When I wanted to buy a grimoire or make repairs on the house or something like that, I remember going out and ploughing through a whole bunch to earn money. As you'd expect, after decades upon decades, the house in the mountains had been remodeled so much that it had practically been rebuilt. Somewhere along the way, you've picked up a special ability that increases the number of experience points you require. From what I hear, you haven't travelled anywhere far away, so I think you've probably got it on one of your level ups. I suppose that could be. Even if all I'd done was kill slime after slime, that bonus had probably boosted my level at least a little. The special ability increases the number of experience points you get per monster by 2. What? Just 2? Well, each slime normally gives 2 points, so it basically doubled, and now we'll calculate it. 365 days times by 300 years times by 4 slime EXP and special bonus ability times by 25 number of slimes killed per day. I think the equation would look like something like that. Yes, I'm following. Well, I wouldn't have had the EXP boost from the very beginning, so this number will probably be a little bit high, but still. The 25 a day figure was a rough estimate, and if I had been more than that, the total would have been higher. It wasn't though. I'd never killed a non-slime monster either. At any rate, I'll try running a calculation with this 10,950,000. Let's see how many thousands is that. 10,950,000. That's pretty close to my 10,840,000. Just so you know, the large dragons are said to be worth 250,000 points. So 10,840 is enough for 4,380 of them. A Dragon Slayer exterminate? It's the same as you think you'd kill 14.6 dragons per year. After putting it in dragon terms, I began to suspect I'd done something extraordinary. The figure isn't a slate error, I knew it. Great Witch of the Highlands, you really are a mighty and powerful witch. I was stunned. I had sensed intuitively that I was growing. After all, my physical body stayed 17, and only my experience grew. That said, to think it would reach such a ludicrous number, no, more importantly, there'd be trouble if I couldn't keep this under wraps. They say that slow and steady wins the race, but this was too much winning. People might start asking for more than just help around the village. For example, a dragon has appeared in such and such a place, go slay it. I wouldn't mind if this was just once, I could handle a single dragon. However, if I did it even one time, I'd have to choose but to go slay dragons elsewhere. They'd be like, you killed the dragon, why can't you kill ours? And if that happened, I could kiss my laid-back life goodbye. My days would be filled with adventure, packed with hard labour from morning till night. In the end, I'd work myself to death. Not that. Anything but that. I'd have to keep the rumours from spreading. Miss? Could you remind me of your name? It's Natalie. What? Natalie? Impossible. Is she immortal too? Probably not. The name wasn't super unique. The two had just happened to share it, that's all. The name Masaki was used during Japan's warring states period, and still around the current SE area too. Natalie, keep this just between us, please. After all, a status like this is a personal secret. You wouldn't want people gossiping about your bust size, would you? I'm fairly secure at my bust size. Show off. Shoot. So she doesn't have a complex about a bust. She's definitely bigger than I am. Leveling up doesn't seem to change her cup size, and my figure's been the same for 300 years. Let's stop talking about this. In any case, don't tell anyone about my status. That's all right, isn't it? I understand. I'll take care not to let a word get out that you're the most powerful of all Great Witch. I'd love to sing your praises to everyone, but as a resident of this village, I would never betray you. The prestige of the Highland Witch came through for me. Good, very good. If I can get her to stay quiet, this will all work out. In 300 years, the only one we'd ever taken an interest in my status was this woman, Natalie. In other words, my peaceful days could very well last for another several centuries. Yeah, let's do that. Relieved, I returned to my house in the Highlands to test whenever that status was real. I used an ice and snow spell on a waterfall in the forest. I still didn't believe it all. After all, I'd felt nothing to suggest that I'd gotten stronger. Freeze everything! Hiya! The water froze solid. Guess you could call that solid proof. For a few days after that, I lazed around the house reading grimoires I'd bought a long time ago. On a side note, I cooked large batches, freezing most of it with my ice and snow magic, which I hadn't even realized I'd learned. To thaw out my food, I used flame magic. I adapted that to use as fire in the kitchen too. In a single bound, my magic raised my standard of living to the equivalent of modern society on Earth, which meant I was able now to spend all day lounging and dawdling around. Leveling up is the best. At this point, I could say this was a real luxury, the true pleasure of living. During my days as a corporate wage slave, going home on time had been like an urban legend. Even so-called holidays had often been consumed by work that came up in the day before or having so much to do in the first place. I was forced to go to the office in an attempt to catch up. Honestly, I didn't care to do that ever again. I'm all hell-bent on my loafing. That said, I have a whole lot of the same frozen food, and I do get tired of it. Maybe I'll go to the restaurant in the village and eat out. It's been a while. I headed down to Flatia. I had spells that probably would have gotten me there easily, like levitation or teleportation, but I was afraid that if people saw those, I'd figured out that my level was high, so I walked it. It's better for your figure anyway. On the way, as expected, I encountered a slime. So, 300 years isn't enough time for slimes to evolve. I thought flicking it with a finger. That's all what it took to end the slime's life. Come to think of it, my knife had eventually become too bothersome, so, for the most part, I'd taken to smacking them to death. Was that also because I had unwittingly raised my attack power? Still, I thought, witches have pretty strong physical attacks too. Even if my level was high, I was conscious about picking up the magic stone, and the slimes gathered. I had no other source of income, and it wasn't hurting for money, but if something was there for the taking, I wouldn't pass it up. After killing several slimes, I reached the village. The way there was downhill, which made it nice and easy. I entered the restaurant called the Savvy Eagle. This place had good omelets. They kept lots of chickens at the shop, and the eggs were fresh. It's been a while. It's me, Azuna. Well, if it isn't the Great Witch of the Highlands. I greeted the restaurant's owner, who was in charge of cooking. When I sat down in my normal seat, the proprietress brought me my usual drink before I'd even ordered it. My body was 17, but yes, I drank alcohol. After all, I'd lived in the world for 3 centuries. Here you go, Great Witch. 1 stiff drink. Thank you much. I think I'll have an omelette again today. Oh, and bring some beef stew as well, please. Yes, Great Witch. It's nice to be a regular. When I was an office worker, I'd been under too much stress to check out the new restaurants. At lunchtime, all the places were jam-packed with customers, and I wasn't able to make the time. As a rule, I ate extremely unfeminine meals, like convenience store bentos and instant ramen. Before long, my omelette arrived. You could tell it was a masterpiece just by looking at it. I totally would have Instagrammed it. It was faintly sweet for my first bite. Truly delicious. Your omelettes are the best in the world, aren't they? Your long life has earned you some skill with your compliments, Great Witch. Have you ever actually gone to another town and tried their omelettes? They're the best in the world, and that's good enough for me. True. Of all our customers, I think you're the one who savors them the most. The proprietress and I have been bantering like this for over 15 years. We're seasoned experts. Oh, by the way, Great Witch, there was something I wanted to ask you, the woman said. Yes? What is it? Is it true your level is 99? The light faded from my eyes. Huh? Where in the world did you hear such a completely unfounded rumor? There was nothing for it but to play dumb. If I acted shocked, it would come back to bite me later. I don't really know where it started, but that's what I heard. The neighborhood children were talking about it. So, where had the children heard it? Actually, it was too late. This wasn't a big village and I was the closest thing to a celebrity around here. So there was a good possibility the story had gotten out. I'll have to give Natalie a talking to later. What's done is done, but I'll make her think long and hard about breaking her promises. Well, unless I showed them my magic, no one could prove my level was so high. So, ducking the issue wasn't impossible. No one can tell you're level 99 just by looking at you. Madame, slimes are just about the only things I've killed. How could I be so strong? I'm just a humble witch with a simple life and no ambitions for anything more. Witch? It's an entirely different class from mage. Mages are the ones who fling spells around like they're going out of style, while witches are more knowledgeable about things like restaurant herbs and ores. That's why I make medicines. Is that right? From what I heard, you have incredible stats, and you're so strong no monster or adventurer could defeat you. That's unexpectedly specific. For starters, I'll go see Natalie and find out what's going on. After finishing my meal, I visited the guild. The woman was at the reception window as always. Natalie, there's rumors going around. You told them I was level 99, didn't you? After I asked you to keep it a secret and never tell anyone, no matter what. Huh? I never said a word. I wouldn't do anything to betray the Great Witch of the Highlands. Natalie looked bewildered. There wasn't an expression of a liar in this case. Where did it come from? But then something occurred to her. Ah, I see. Yes, that's probably it. Did you remember something? As I recall, when I checked your status, there was another adventurer in the guild. Oh? The guild was a public space. Yeah, even though it was a small village, it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for another adventurer or two to be here. That's right, yes, Mr. Ernest was there, and he's notorious a blabbermouth. I'm sure he's the one to get the word out. So, the one who overheard us was a very chatty adventurer. In that case, it was only a matter of time until the cat was completely out of the bag. If worst came to worst, it might reach the neighbouring towns and villages too. I held my head, not because it hurt. During my tenure as a cog in the corporate machines, I had awful headaches and usually took medicine for them, but these days I was the very picture of health. Think, what can I do to minimize the damage? That's it, I'll have her overwrite it with a different information and save that. I checked behind me, making sure there wasn't another adventure. Natalie, please spread the rumor that my being level 99 was an error. Are you telling me to lie? Yes, I am. Say that I'm a perfectly normal witch who simply knows a little bit about botany. I'm begging you. Tell them the status slate was malfunctioning. Natalie is a guild personnel, which means it wouldn't be strange for her to know a lot about the statuses. If she says it was a mistake, lots of people should believe her. I'd feel awful for saying someone with your abilities was actually weak. You're the pride of our village, Great Witch. Knowing about my abilities won't make anyone happy. On the contrary, jealous people could start coming out of the woodwork. At the very least, strength isn't necessary to my peaceful life. Please, help me out. If anyone despised me, it might have been nice to get some payback. The villagers had already plenty of respect for me. I also had a good track record. The long years I'd spent healing the village through medicine and healing, status didn't need to enter the question. I understand, I mustn't cause trouble for the Great Witch of the Highlands. Natalie seemed convinced. A little damage control seemed feasible. First things first, I've done what I could do for now. In the terms of adventure rank, you've undoubtedly been an S among SS, a legend unseen since the kingdom was founded. What a shame. Maybe so, but please deal with it. But it would make the name of Latonia Village famous far and wide. Deal with that too. They say fame comes at a price. There's a danger that would bring trouble to this quiet village. Could I just tell the guild headquarters? Absolutely not. I made an X sign with my arms, rejecting Natalie's request with all my might. Up until this point, my relationship with the village had gone the way I wanted it to. I was just maintaining the status quo. Nothing wrong with that. Afterward, I was careful never to let the villagers see my power. I hadn't shown it to them before either, so basically all I had to do was play the part of the perfectly normal witch. Natalie seemed to have told the people around her that the slate had been wrong, and no more villagers asked me whenever I was level 99. That put an end to that matter. I'd spend my days killing slimes and brewing potions again, or so I thought until one day, someone knocked on the door of my house. Who could it be? Almost no one ever knocked on my door. For starters, the location wasn't extremely convenient. The Highland was a decent walk from the village, so getting there was a pain. It wasn't on the way to anywhere else. It wasn't on the way to anywhere either, so you wouldn't just happen to be in the neighborhood to stop by. On top of that, witches are very special individuals to the villagers, so nobody just casually dropped in for a visit. People occasionally bought something to share with me, but that was about it. Because of that, hardly anyone ever came to my house. Of course, there were emergencies. Maybe a child had fallen ill and their parents wanted medicine, and at times like that, I raced to see where I was needed. Since it would be terrible if someone had taken ill, I closed the grimoire I'd been reading and headed for the entryway. When I opened the door, I discovered a party of 4 adventurers. There weren't villagers, to say the least. For one thing, the man at the front of the group appeared to be a young swordsman. He was probably in his early 20s. There was another swordsman with bulging muscles, a woman in a robe clearly marked as a mage, and a teenage cleric. 4 people in all. Yes, what do you need? Had they come to inquire about my powerful monsters nearby? I wanted to apologize to them. There was absolutely nothing except small fry. Oh, and there was no dungeons hosting fantastic treasures either. As a matter of fact, there was no dungeons, period. All it could really offer was the forest had plants with healing properties. If this has anything to do with an adventure, I'd politely decline. Are you Miss Azuna, the Witch of the Highlands? Asked the young swordsman, who seemed to be the leader. Yes, I am. Unfortunately, this isn't a good area for adventuring. The monsters are weak, and we don't have any dungeons. No, it's alright. That isn't why we're here. Then what is it? Were they peddlers? We would like to engage you in a trial of strength. Huh? My voice cracked. I'd never heard that proposal before. A trial of strength? Did you want to arm wrestle or something? No, we'd like to do battle. I'm a witch who ekes out a living by gathering medical herbs. Fighting me won't make you legendary heroes. We heard there was a level 99 witch here. Even adventurers who stuck to this area travel to towns and villages near us, so I guess that's how it got around. This was a misunderstanding. The slate was broken and gave a weird number, that's all. In terms of actual skills, I'm a level 10 at most. Actually, that's probably too generous. Level 3, possibly. You shouldn't lie. The woman who looked like a magician was the one who'd spoken. She was in her late 20s. I'm in a similar position, so I can tell. The mana is practically rolling off you. There's no mistake. You're paranormal. Ah! You can tell from things like that? What is this? Are we stand users who are drawn to one another? Still, I'm not fighting no matter what. I mean, if I get into one battle, it will never be able to stop. So, I'm just speaking hypothetically, alright? By assuming I were a witch with genuine skills, I'd still have no reason to fight you. That's a perfectly sound argument. I'll stick to that one. I don't want to run a dojo here, so there's no point in anyone trying to beat me. You see, we want to get stronger. Please spar with us and help us. They were polite, but I didn't really want to involve myself with this. This was a problem. If I didn't get these people to go home, my peace and quiet would be ruined. If it's come to this, maybe I can fool them with a lie. I cleared my throat and began. The truth is, long ago, I once grew drunk on my own power. Never happened. We didn't know. They were listening more earnestly than I'd expected. I felt a bit guilty. I hurt many people. Some even lost their lives to my attack spells. The only thing I've killed is slimes. And so I resolved never to fight again. Everything about this is true. So even great adventurers have painful pasts. Yes, and as a result, I can't fight with you. Please understand. Seriously, I'm begging you, take a hint. They'll probably give up now. We understand how you feel, Miss Azuna. We'll withdraw. Thank you so much. May the road you travel be a bright one. Many more adventures like us are bound to come to you, and it's probably going to be a lot of trouble. Be careful not to let anyone ambush you. Some adventurers only care about making a name for themselves. Hold it! Have those stories about me spread that far? Now there's a nasty piece of news. Yes, I doubt there's an adventurer in this territory who hasn't heard about you. Besides, the local adventurers are very proud that Azuna, their witch of the Highlands, is the strongest being around. What do they think they're doing, making me the pride of a religion? I wish they'd quit sabotaging my R&R. No help for it, I'll change my strategy. Alright, I will spar with you, and only you, just this once. Do you mean it? A wave of enthusiasm surged through the party. They were treating me like some sort of celebrity. On one condition though, if you lose, I want you to go around telling people the Witch of the Highlands was nothing special. If possible, I want to avoid fighting. The female magician nodded vigorously. Alright, sparring or no, I'd hate to seriously injure you, so I just went outside and used a farming hoe to dig one big circle in the dirt. It was more of an oval than a perfect circle, but it would suffice. Let's say whoever steps outside this circle loses. Is that alright with you? Of course, no one declined, and the matter was settled. This way we'd be able to finish up without anyone getting hurt. If I leave the circle, I lose. If any one of you leaves the circle, your side loses. Let's do it that way. Oh, and anyone who steps outside is out of the match at that point. Those conditions favoured my opponents, so I doubtfully thought they'd complain. Well then, let's get right to it. As if to declare the victory went that swift, the magician girl thrust her staff out in front of her and chanted something. O wind, choose this moment to become my servant and raise a tempest. Naturally, she thought of using wind to hurl me out. That had been my plan too. Faroom! A cyclone twisted my way. Just from the noise, I could tell it would pack a punch. Apparently these adventurers were fairly high level. Is this how you use whirlwind magic? That had been one of my skills in my status, but I actually hadn't really known how to use it. Granted, I'd activated the ice and snow spell with a random chant, so maybe this wasn't a strict protocol. It wasn't that I had no steps to take. I dubbed this Operation Eye for an Eye. O wind, choose this moment to become my servant and raise a tempest. I chanted the exact same words as my opponent. To put it bluntly, I stole them. No such thing as copyright in this world. Faroom! A whirlwind 7 dozen times larger than my opponent's formed and headed straight for the other group. First, it swallowed the magician girl's whirlwind and absorbed it, and it didn't negate my vortex. On the contrary, it sped it up. I've never seen a whirlwind like it! It's a monster! Run! My opponents were taken back. The storm was just enormous. It was safe to say that at that moment I'd used magic, they'd lost their will to fight. If the whirlwind pulled them in, it probably would be able to send them out of the circle at the very least. All my opponents took a direct hit with my tempest. Great, it worked! Except, I think it might have been a bit too strong. Eek! Ah! Help me! Now trapped in the funnel, the party was being blown further and further away. Shoot! I'd underestimated the power of level 99. This went way beyond outside the circle. The whirlwind gradually weakened with time. However, at last the adventurers seemed to touch down softly. Right, next to the village of Flatonia as a base of the hill. Oh crap! Frankly, they'd landed in the worst possible location. After that, just to make sure, I went to the village. To think you'd send a veteran party flying with a single whirlwind. That's our great witch of the Highlands. I saw your true power clearly with my own eyes, great witch. Now our village's future is secure for several hundred years. You really are level 99, aren't you? The fact that I trounced that party was already the talk of the village. Well, of course it was. This place was the foot of the Highlands, and they had to have seen the enormous spell. Everyone in the party said that they were going to start again from square one. They said that someday they'll be just like you, Great Witch. Hey! They were talking about me? That wasn't the deal. That said, since I'd launched them into the sky in front of witnesses, there's probably no way to hide it. Lying and telling them a brutal monster had appeared would send the village into a panic. Yes, I blew them away with my magic. That the Witch of the Highlands was level 99 was official, and everybody knew it. And with that, I'm going to end it there. Thank you very much for listening to me read. I'm keep practicing because you know how it works. But if you like this sort of content and you want to hear more, see more is the thing, then hit the like button, leave a comment down below on what manga you would like me to read or light novel. Let me know down below in the comments. And with that, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for listening and watching. And with that, I'll leave it there. And I'll see you in the next video.
チャンネルをサポートしてくれてありがとう。チャンネル登録、高評価お願い。